Hey guys, welcome to Startup Sessions. My name's Abe Leachy, and today we're going to talk about influencer contracts. I've been doing a ton of these deals lately, and I thought I'd put together some content for the micro-influencer community to give you a sense of what's in these contracts and what to look for. Not all of you can get attorneys, so hopefully you find this helpful. This will be high level, but I'll make more video content down the line, going into more specifics on each of these topics. But if you guys have any specific questions or topics you want me to go into sooner rather than later, shoot me a DM, leave a comment, email me, call me. I'm happy to answer those questions. First thing that you're going to see, obviously, is the fee section. You want to know how much you're getting paid, and you want to know when you're getting paid. Things that you look for are you going to get 50% up front? Is it going to be all after the deliverable, some sort of hybrid, or 30 days after an invoice? Either way, just make sure you're looking at it so you can understand what that term is and then negotiate accordingly. After that, you're usually going to see a term provision. This is basically how long the contract term is. This could mean how long they have the right to use the content. If there's an exclusivity provision, you want to see what's the term of exclusivity. And if you do have some sort of grant of rights with some smaller term, you'll see that too. So you might have certain rights for X amount of time, and then certain set of rights for a shorter or longer period of time. After that, you're typically going to see a termination provision. This is pretty important because a lot of times brands might try to put in there that they could terminate without any reason, but that you don't get to do that. And if I were an influencer, I would obviously push back on that, but you got to make sure that it's fair. So if you do push back on it, you got to make sure that you're also willing to pay a penalty potentially. If you got paid 50% deposit and then you decide to breach the contract or terminate the contract before you actually deliver anything, the brand's really out of pocket and they're not getting anything. So you should expect that they're going to want that money back. On the flip side, if you are the one that, if the other side is breaking the contract and you've already put in time, but you haven't done the posts, you should be paid something for your time. So if you got a 50% deposit, maybe that's, you get to keep that. And if you haven't, maybe that means that you get to be paid a pro rata amount of that fee. Next, you're going to see the grant of rights. This section typically deals with who owns the content, who has the right to use it, how do you have the right to use it, and for how long. So typically, you're creating content, you're going to want to own it, but you're going to grant a license to the brand to use it. And within that license, you want to make sure it's clear what type of usage they have. Are they allowed to sub-license it to third parties? Are they allowed to use it in only a non-paid organic way, meaning they could just repost it on their social media, or can they use it in a paid digital advertising kind of way, meaning boosted posts, amplified posts, or if you send them pictures, can they just post it by themselves on their own Instagram account or on paid Facebook ads, stuff like that. Other stuff are things like exclusivity. If you're asked to have an exclusivity clause, you want to make sure you understand for how long it's for and how specific it is. Is it too broad? Is it that you can't work with their competitors, or is it only within a certain category? Other things are approval rights. You want to make sure that you have some sense of approval rights. The brand's going to have approval rights, of course, but you want to be able to have a say in whether or not that content goes up. If you don't like one of the options that they're proposing, you want to put in that you can say no. Pretty simple. And lastly, of course, is the statement of work, or the scope of work. And this really pertains to what it is that you're providing as a service. This should outline, if you're doing an Instagram post, how many posts are you doing? Is it a static grid post, or is it an Insta story? If it's an Insta story, how many frames should it be? When does the post need to go up? When do you need to give them a draft of the content? Who's proposing the copy? Who gets to edit or have approval rights over the copy? If you're doing it on other platforms, same thing. If you're doing an event appearance, when's the event? What happens if the event gets changed? How long do you have to be at the event? Are you going to do any interviews? Are you going to approve any quotes? Are you going to permit servicing of your photographs? And lastly is the FTC regulations. This is pretty standard to see in these contracts, but just so you know what it is, it's going to deal with your requirement to adhere to these FTC requirements, which includes things like putting hashtag ad, which I think most of you have heard about, but you want to make sure you understand how that works in case you want to use something else except other than hashtag ad. Anyway, I hope you found this general video helpful. Leave me any questions, comments. tag your friends. I'd love to get this content disseminated more widely, and I look forward to speaking to you again.